Here are some huge names from around the league that missed significant time. Regular season games missed and a season-ending injury. I see the top right-hand side, and I think national treasure, Cole Caulfield, 36 games, and what a goal scorer he is. And then you look on the other side of the ledger, and I see another guy wearing red, white, and blue, Zach Werenski, another national treasure. Rupper, I want you to take me around the 4 divisions and give me a guy that you're zeroed in on health-wise that could make a big impact in the coming year. Let's start with the Atlantic Division. Pick one guy that you think steps up.
Well, you just mentioned him in Cole Caulfield.
Okay.
And not even necessarily about stepping up. It's just continuing to progress like he has been. And we know since the coaching change what his numbers have been like.
Yes.
Right? Like Marty St. Louis has been the Cole Caulfield whisperer, if you will. But they've got talent. They've got Suzuki, Caulfield, Doc. If that's your number 1 line, that's some good age-appropriate players getting some nice chemistry. But this kid's numbers, when you look at overall his NHL career up to this point, great numbers. I'm not going to blow you away like Connor or some of the best players in the world, but we also know when you pull that back a little bit, he's gone on some heaters. Right? So he can put the puck in the back of the net. And now I want to see him healthy. He's got to be healthy because that's been an area where you're missing 36 games, separated shoulder, and he was on fire. What would that have been? He was on a pretty good clip last year before he got hurt. So I think for the Montreal Canadiens, a team that is trying to build and get back going, this is a huge piece to the puzzle that I can't wait to see what he does this year.
We root for the health of all the players, Cole. We're starting with you. To the Metro, a player that you have your eye on.
Zach Werenski in Columbus.
There you go.
He missed 69 games last year. I mean, so it's like I didn't know what to expect. They go and get Johnny Hockey. The team, there's excitement around it. They're looking last summer when we were talking about last summer. They want to keep Patrick Laine there. They want to try to keep building this. And then not too long into the season, they lose their pillar on the back end. He is so important for this club that I think that, again, just like John Carlson kind of did for Washington where things started crumbling, it started falling apart for the Columbus Blue Jackets when Werenski went out, because I just love where his game has gotten over the last number of years. I think he's put in the work. He's gotten better defensively. We know how great he is offensively on the power play. But now you're talking about all the talent that they have with this roster. They got Fantilli. You've got Johnston. Like, you got these pieces that are in here. This is the connector of the dots from the back end to that forward group.
Yep. Johnny
Hockey, Patty Laine, Boone Jenner. Like, you've got some pieces there, but you need to have a back end that thinks that way as well. That's Zach Werenski. So I think he's a key to that puzzle, and having him back will help them immensely.
Give us a key to the puzzle in the Central.
Central's Phil Forsberg.
Okay.
Because this is an interesting one there in Nashville, because remember all the injuries they had at the end of the year, and they end up trading guys and whatnot. This was a team that played really well. Like, they played really well towards the end of the year, and there's a lot of unheralded names in that process. He's not one of them. He was not playing because he was hurt. He missed the last 32 games. But he's so important to this club because he got signed to that big extension last summer, right? He is an absolute sniper. He's the guy now. Now with the departures of Matt Duchene and Ryan Johansson, Phil Forsberg's the man in Nashville. So I'm interested to see how he handles more of a leadership role, too, because I think that's got to be asked of him. We know Barry Trott's taking over as GM there. Like, it's going to be time. I think that they've probably had those meetings. Like, it's time now. It's time for you to take that next step. So Phil Forsberg being healthy is an electrifying player, and I can't wait to see him lead this Preds team.
You mentioned Trotz calling the shots now. That rhymes. How about Forsberg and that leadership role? He already leads by example, but what about an increased direction role for him in terms of being a leader and helping that team? Because there have been pieces that have moved out of significant impact.
Yeah, I've always thought over the course of my career, when you've had players that maybe are your best players as far as skill on your team, but maybe they aren't necessarily in higher end. Everybody's a leader in their own right. You've got to have that inside the room. But when you move out some of the veteran, skilled guys, like, he is now the most skilled player, and he's going to be looked to from his experiences as well. He's been around for a little while now, right? Like, so you got to be called upon. And I love seeing how guys react to that, because some guys really thrive, and you see them grow and kind of even take that next step. And maybe it's not even the numbers, but it's finding other ways to lead, and it's doing things and sacrificing certain things that help you show your team how to win. And I think those are things that Phil can certainly can adjust his game to.
The Erat-Forsberg trade will go down in history. Let's go out west to the Pacific, a guy that you have your eye on there.
I'm going to go Andre Burakovsky, because
Yes.
I think out there in Seattle, he's been a player that he's a game changer. And his overall numbers as a whole over his career, they're not going to probably blow you away. But over the last couple of years, ever since, I mean, really, since they won the Cup there in Washington, he was a big factor,
Yes,
if you
he
remember,
was.
in that run. So he is a game breaker. And I think Seattle needs guys like that. Seattle scored a lot of goals, especially at the early stages of last season. But I think, he missed the rest of the regular season and the playoffs. So he missed the last 32 and the playoffs. And he would have been a huge factor for a team that really did a lot and surprised me in a very positive way in the playoffs.
Yes.
But if Burakovsky's that player, if there's a bouncing puck in the neutral zone, he's shot out of a cannon, goes down and snaps it upstairs. So now that team has an identity, and they've done such a great job of developing that there. Now that's like his niche there. Like him, Jared McCann can kind of break a game open with their speed and their shots. So we'll see what he can do there in Seattle. It's going to be an exciting year.
You say break a game open, and I think about just how Dave Hackstall was able to throw lines on the ice, and they just kept coming and applying pressure, and they had so many players, as we look at their projected forward lines, who could hurt you. But the game breakers, you rattled off McCann, and of course him, Andre, which we see on the right side, number 95. How much of a bump does he give him if he's healthy? This past year, it could have been impactful.
Yeah, so if you keep that up right there, I mean, let's talk about some of the pieces. I mean, Oliver Bjorkstrand, there's a good stretch that you're talking to people in Columbus, like he's an uber-talented player.
Yes.
He's on your third line. Yanni Gourde, we know what he could do in this 2 cups there in Tampa.
Yeah.
Eli Tolvanen. He was so good after he came over from Nashville. He was unbelievable. So I don't even know. And this was a high pick. So let's see where he goes from there. Now you talk about down on that 4th line, you have a couple veteran role-playing guys. This is a roster that's impressing me. And they took a significant step last year, as you can see them there in the Pacific. 100 points for the Kraken, but I think it's only up from here.
Yeah.
And I think that part of the problem last year at different times was subpar goaltending, but we started seeing Phil Grubauer finding his groove down the stretch in the playoffs, and they started getting some of that. So I think the Seattle Kraken are on the up here, and Burakovsky coming back is going to be a big factor in that.
What an amazing playoff experience for this group, too. Year 2 of the organization, and they beat the reigning Stanley Cup champs in 7 to move to the next round. That was awesome.